Millions of refugees around the world are facing numerous challenges in their daily lives. From struggling to access basic necessities like food, water, and shelter to dealing with trauma, discrimination, and language barriers, the obstacles are endless. In this video, we'll delve into the top 8 major challenges that refugees face worldwide today, highlighting the harsh realities they encounter and the urgent need for support and solutions. Whether you're an advocate for refugee rights or simply interested in learning more about this critical issue, this video is for you. Stay tuned to learn more about the struggles refugees face and how we can work together to make a difference. Refugees often have to leave nearly everything behind to escape dangerous situations, and whatever they can bring with them may be crucial for their survival. As Fatima shared, the journey from her village in Sudan to Chad typically cost about 4,000 Sudanese pounds per person, roughly $6.50. However, when she and her family fled the ongoing conflict in Sudan to seek refuge in eastern Chad, the cost rose to 62,500 Sudanese pounds per person, around $100. This often leaves refugees in debt when they arrive in host communities. Although some progress has been made in the past 5 years, refugees still face significant barriers to economic inclusion, which makes it challenging for them to rebuild their lives and contribute to their new communities. According to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, 75% of refugees live in poverty. While 70% are legally allowed to work either partially or fully, only 50% actually secure formal employment. Additionally, access to financial services such as fair loans, social security, and unemployment benefits is often limited for refugees. According to the UNHCR, only 22% of refugees reside in tented camps, while the remaining 78% live in urban areas, typically in housing. However, securing safe and affordable housing remains a significant challenge in both cases. For instance, refugee camps like the one in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, where Rohingya refugees reside, impose limitations on the materials used for shelters, leaving many families in tents that are susceptible to weather-related hazards such as floods and fires. Although 78% of refugees settle in urban or peri-urban regions, many face difficulties finding affordable, suitable housing due to housing shortages and a lack of public or subsidized options. When Khaled and Maram arrived in Lebanon from Syria in 2013, they initially lived in Bekaa, but struggled with high rent and negative attitudes toward refugees in the local community. In 2021, they relocated to Mount Lebanon. They can stay in a tent for free during the summer, but in the winter they rent a house. While the house is an improvement over the tent, they cannot afford to winterize it to withstand the harsh alpine winters. It is a tragic irony that safety remains a critical concern for refugees, even after they manage to escape conflict and reach what they hope will be a safe haven. Many of the countries that host the largest numbers of refugees are neighboring nations already grappling with their own crises, which often forces refugees into informal settlements where their situation is even more precarious. Maram and Khaled have faced this reality in Lebanon, where years of economic turmoil have fueled rising discrimination against Syrian refugees. Khaled explains that hyperinflation has led to more thefts, which are often blamed on Syrian refugees. In their area, they are subject to a 6 p.m. curfew. Like many refugees, they also struggle to access healthcare due to the high cost of medication and the difficulty of reaching a hospital or clinic, particularly with curfews in place. Khaled shares that, due to inflation, he couldn't afford medicine for his son at the pharmacy. "I fear I'll reach a point where I have to beg to provide for my children's survival," he says. Beyond healthcare, sanitation and hygiene present significant challenges, especially in remote and rural communities. Fatima, living in a camp in Chad, describes the situation. "The biggest challenge here is that we don't have soap. Water is also very far from our place, and we are forced to hire someone with a wheelbarrow." Mental health is just as critical as physical health for refugees. The main challenge now is that people haven't adapted to the new circumstances they're facing, explained psychologist Lilia in February 2023, just before she led a group session for elderly Ukrainians living in Zaporizhzhia. While this region was relatively safer for many Ukrainians who fled from areas closer to the front lines, it still faces the threat of air raids, sirens, and attacks, leaving residents in a constant state of anxiety. These issues affect both refugees and internally displaced persons alike. These sessions made us feel that someone cared about us emotionally. This doesn't happen often in our society, where we are expected to be strong providers for our families, says Hassan, a father of 3 who participated in a support group for Syrian refugee men in Lebanon, sharing his struggles with both the trauma that caused them to flee and the harsh realities of their new life in displacement. Even in neighboring countries, refugees can struggle to communicate and fit into their host communities. A 2020 report by Translators Without Borders explored this challenge among Rohingya refugees in southern Bangladesh. The dominant language in this region is Chittagonian, a variant of Bengali, while the hundreds of thousands of refugees who fled from Rakhine state speak Rohingya. People assumed that Chittagonian was similar enough to Rohingya to be understood, but that wasn't the case, explained Mia Marzotto from TWB. Researchers discovered that 36% of Rohingya refugees in Cox's Bazar could not understand even a simple message spoken in Chittagonian. Moreover, after finding asylum in one country, refugees may be resettled long-term or even permanently in another. This adds to their already difficult situation as they now face the challenge of integrating into an entirely different language and culture. In Sudan, 20-year-old Naila once focused her life on her education. Now, living in a refugee camp in eastern Chad, her younger brothers have access to child-friendly spaces where they can play and learn, but her own education has been interrupted. This is something she misses greatly, especially since, as she puts it, there is not much to do in the camp. This issue is common among refugees of high school or university age, as many never return to complete their education. A 16-year-old Syrian refugee shared with us years ago, "I've lost my will now, after missing it for 2 years." Being a refugee often forces children to take on responsibilities beyond their years. As of the end of 2023, the UNHCR reported that 40% of all forcibly displaced individuals are under the age of 18. Many of these children end up caring for younger siblings or cousins if their parents or guardians are not present, while others must work to support their families when their parents cannot earn enough. Even for those who manage to continue their education in host communities, keeping up in school can be challenging. Many child refugees have experienced so much trauma that it is difficult for them to cope in a traditional educational environment. Additionally, some face discrimination in the classroom. Refugees often experience stress or trauma during displacement for several reasons, one of which is that many still have family and loved ones in their home country. Some may even return after fleeing. Fatima's situation in Chad illustrates this. While she feels safe and supported by assistance from Concern and other local NGOs, she remains troubled by other concerns. "My main thoughts and worries right now are my children who are in Sudan," she says. "I haven't heard from 3 of my children who went back. Even with modern technology, staying in touch with loved ones in conflict zones is challenging. The uncertainty about what family and friends are enduring in these crises only heightens the feelings of survivor's guilt many refugees face. Although their lives in displacement may not be easy, they are acutely aware of how much worse things could be." In the 2018 Global Hunger Index, co-authored by Concern Worldwide and Welthungerhilfe, we explored the connection between hunger and forced migration, arguing that the global refugee crisis is also a hunger crisis. Laura Hammond from the University of London highlighted in the report that humanitarian assistance is not designed to support people over the long term. Refugees typically receive aid only to address their most basic food and non-food needs, with the hope that they will soon return to their home areas. However, this is no longer the reality for most displaced people. In the same year the report was published, the UNHCR estimated that over 80% of the global refugee population had been displaced for more than 10 years, and 40% had been displaced for more than 20 years. Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content about the global refugee crisis, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Join the BeyondBorder community and let's explore the world together. Thanks for watching.